Good morning to all of you. Today I am recording the lesson for the day 6. For that, I have prepared the PPTs, and with the help of the PPTs, now I would like to teach the lesson. Today we will discuss about the volumetric strain in the charter simple stresses and strains. Now I would like to share the PPT. Here today we are going to discuss about the volumetric strain. So in the last classes, we have been discussing about the stress, strain, that is a linear strain, lateral strain, Poisson's ratio, and the volumetric strain also we have studied. Today we are going to see some of the derivations pertaining to the volumetric strain. We are going to have the equations for the volumetric strains for a rectangular bar and for a circular bar. So at the end of this class, we are going to have an idea about the volumetric strain of a rectangular bar when it is subjected to an axial force, and also the volumetric strain of a cylindrical rod having a given diameter. Now, first of all, we'll see the volumetric strain of a rectangular bar subjected to an axial force. Here, in the figure, a rectangular bar is given. The bar is having a length L, width B, and thickness D or T. Here, it is subjected to an axial pull force, the tensile force of capital P newtons. And whenever we know that whenever here this bar is having the dimensions which are mutually perpendicular to each other. Here the length can be taken on the x-axis and width can be taken on the y-axis and thickness is taken on the z-axis. Here a tensile force of P newtons is applied along the length, and when this force P is applied, tensile force P is applied along the length of the bar increases, and whenever the length increases, that is in the linear direction. The lateral direction, what happens? Lateral means the width wise and thickness wise. So there is a small decrease in width and a decrease in thickness will be observed. So here what is happening is the very important thing. Initially we got the value L B into T, that is the length, width and thickness, and finally here in this case the length increases, due to the application of this axial tensile force along the length. But the width reduces and thickness also reduces because the width and thickness are in the lateral directions to the applied force. So there will be there is a decrease in the lateral directions. So what is happening is finally the volume will change. The final length, with the final length, final width, and final thickness, we can able to find out the final volume. However, so some change of volume will occur. So we got the initial volume and also we got the final volume. The difference of these three volumes is nothing but the change in volume. So here that we have to find out the change in volume, and the volumetric is nothing but the ratio of the change in volume by original volume. So with that we will going to arrive a formula for the volumetric strain of a rectangular bar. Now here let delta L is equal to increase in length of the bar. Delta B is equal to decrease in breadth or width of the bar. Delta T is equal to decrease in thickness of the bar. And mu is equal to the Poisson's ratio. Here, as we know that the length increases due to the application of the tensile force along the lengthwise, whereas the width and thickness will reduce because the width and thickness are the lateral directions to that of the applied force. Therefore, the final length of the bar is nothing but is equal to L plus delta L, and final breadth of the bar is equal to B minus delta B. Similarly, the final thickness of the bar is equal to T minus delta T. And here the original volume, that is the initial, it is called the initial volume of the bar because it is having a dimensions L, B and T. So we know the simple equation, the volume is equal to length into width into thickness. So original volume of the bar is equal to V is equal to LBT. Now the final volume of the bar. Here we know that by substituting the final dimensions in the volume equation, that is the final volume is equal to final length into final breadth into final thickness. So that is nothing but the L plus delta L into B minus delta B into T minus delta T. So if we simplify this equation, it becomes L into B plus B into delta L minus L delta B minus delta L into delta B into T minus delta T. Now further if we simplify it, it becomes LBT plus BT into delta L minus LT into delta B minus T into delta L into delta B minus LB into delta T minus B into delta L into delta T minus B into delta M delta T plus delta L into delta B into delta T. Here, so what is happening is we can, the equation is very complicated. Here, we know that the increase in length or the decrease in thickness or the decrease in width are very, very small terms, and they are having only very, very smaller values. So the multiplication of the smaller values will give you furthermore smaller value, and we can neglect. So here what is happening is we have to neglect the multiplication of the smaller values like delta B into delta L or delta T into delta L or delta B into delta T, like that. If we neglect that by neglecting the smaller terms, the final volume will become L into B into T plus B into T into delta L minus L into T into delta B minus L into B into delta T. So this is the final value after neglecting the smaller terms. Now the change in volume of the bar. The change in volume of the bar delta V is equal to nothing but the final volume minus original volume. So we got the final value equation, and original value equation is called L into B into T. So if you simplify this equation, the delta V, that is change in volume, becomes Bt into delta L minus Lt into delta B minus Lb into delta T. So we know that volumetric strain is nothing but the ratio of change in volume by original volume. So EV is equal to delta V by V. So substituting these values, so EV becomes Bt delta L minus Lt delta B minus Lb delta T by Lbt. And we know that the strain, the linear strain is equal to delta L by L. And similarly, delta B by B and delta T by T are the lateral strains. And we also know that the EV is equal to linear strain minus 2 into, so this becomes what? The linear strain minus 2 into lateral strain. So we know that Poisson strain is equal to lateral strain by linear strain. So lateral strain is equal to mu into linear strain, and so therefore EV becomes linear strain minus 2 into mu into linear strain. So this is nothing but linear strain into 1 minus 2 mu. So this EV is equal to here the linear strain is nothing but delta L by L into 1 minus 2 mu. So EV is equal to this delta L by L is nothing but the linear strain E. So E into 1 minus 2 mu. So where E is equal to delta L by L. So this is the equation for the volumetric strain of a rectangular bar when it is subjected to an axial force of P and having the dimensions L, B and T. Next, the volumetric strain of a cylindrical rod. Here in this case, we are considering a rod having a diameter D and length L is subjected to an axial force of P. So here also this bar is subjected to the tensile force of P. Here what is happening is due to the action of this force, the length of the bar will increase. Similarly, the lateral dimension here, the lateral dimension is the diameter. So we can observe a smaller decrease in the diameter. The diameter will reduce. So accordingly, we can find out the volume. So for that, first you say let delta L is equal to increase in length of the rod, and delta D is the decrease in diameter of the rod, because the diameter will reduce, whereas the length will increase due to the action of this axial tensile force. And mu is equal to the Poisson's ratio. So here we know that the final length of the rod will become L plus delta L. And similarly, the final diameter of the rod will become the D minus delta D. Here, what is happening? The diameter is reducing, whereas the length is increasing. Now we can find out the final volume of the rod. We know that the volume is equal to cross-sectional area into the length. We know that the cross-sectional area is equal to pi by 4 into d square, because it is a rod. In the previous case, it was a rectangular bar. There, the equation for the cross-sectional area is equal to b into t, and whereas the length is the L. So LBD is the volume. Here, L into pi by 4 d square is the equation for the volume of a rod. Now the final, this is the initial volume is equal to pi by 4 d square into L. Now we can find out the final volume of the rod. So the final volume of the rod can be found by substituting the final diameter and the final length in the above equation. So it becomes pi by 4 into d minus delta d whole square into L plus delta L, because the diameter reduces and the length increases. Now, if we expand that formula, it becomes 5 by 4 into d square plus delta d whole square minus 2d into delta d into L plus delta L. If you further expand this equation, it becomes 5 by 4 into d square into L plus L into delta d whole square minus 2LD into delta D plus d square into delta L plus delta D whole square into delta L minus 2D into delta D into delta L. Here also we have to simplify this equation. So how to simplify? The previous equation also, in the previous derivation also, we have simplified the equation by neglecting the terms. Here also, by neglecting the smaller terms. So what are the terms? The delta D and delta D. These are the amount is very, very small. So now delta D whole square or delta L whole square or delta D into delta L. So these terms will be very, very smaller, and we can neglect. If we neglect those terms, the final volume of the rod will become 5 by 4 into d square into L minus 2 into LD into delta D plus d square into delta L. Now we can find out the change in the volume of the rod, delta V. The change in volume is nothing but the final volume minus initial volume. So we know the final volume of the rod and also initial volume, nothing but the original volume, that is equal to 5 by 4 into d square into L. So if we substitute those values in the equation, we'll get delta V is equal to 5 by 4 into d square into delta L minus 2LD into delta D. So this is the change in volume. Now we know that the volumetric strain EV is equal to change in volume by original volume. Is nothing but the change in volume by original volume. So this is equal to 5 by 4 into d square into delta L minus 2LD into delta D by 5 by 4 into d square into L. And by simplifying the equation, we'll get EV is equal to delta L by L minus 2 into delta D by D. So here the delta L by L is nothing but the linear strain E, whereas the delta D by D is nothing but the lateral strain of the rod, that is EL. So this becomes, here we know that the lateral strain and linear strain and also Poisson's ratio. And we also know that the lateral strain is equal to Poisson's ratio mu into the lateral strain is equal to mu into linear strain. So delta D by D is equal to mu into delta L. So by substituting that equation, the volumetric strain EB is equal to delta L by L into 1 minus Q mu. So here this delta L by L is nothing but the linear strain. So the equation also EB is equal to E into 1 minus Q mu. So this is the equation for the volumetric strain. So in the both cases, in case of a rectangular bar, and here we have to observe one important thing. We have derived for the equation for the what is called, this is for the rectangular bar. The volumetric strain of a rectangular bar is equal to EV into EV is equal to E into 1 minus Q mu, where E is called the linear strain. Similarly, here also same thing. So in case of the circular bar, the volumetric strain is same. EV is equal to E into 1 minus Q mu. So whatever may be the shape, whether it is a rectangular or it is a circular, so we got the same equation. So that is the EV is equal to E into 1 minus 2 mu, where mu is equal to the Poisson's ratio. So this holds good for either it is for a circular bar or it is for a rectangular bar. Now the next one is here we got the three modulus of velocity. So one is called the Young's modulus, next the shear modulus and Buck modulus. So we'll discuss one by one. The first one is the Young's modulus. So as we know that Young's modulus is nothing but it is the whenever a body is subjected to some kind of external forces, the ratio of the tensile stress or the compressive stress produced in the bar to the corresponding strain is called as the Young's modulus. So if it is subjected to the tensile force, it produces tensile strain. that the strain is positive, considered to be positive. And if it is subjected to the compressive force, it produces the compressive strain, which is taken to be a negative one. But however, the tensile or compressive stress by corresponding strain is called as the modulus of elasticity, and it is also called as the Young's modulus. So Young's modulus capital generally it is denoted with the letter capital E. So capital E is equal to stress by strain, that is sigma by E. And here the stress is generally measured in newtons per square meter or newtons per square millimeters. And we are not having any units for the strain. So whatever the units we are having for the stress, the same units holds good for the Young's modulus also. So Young's modulus generally expressed in newtons per square meter or newtons per square millimeters. Generally, the value of the Young's modulus is higher. So therefore, it is generally expressed some value into 10 power 5 newtons per square millimeters, or some value into 10 power, so 9 into newton per square meter, like that is it will be expressed. And so always it is expressed with some bits. Next one is the modulus of rigidity. It is also called as the rigidity modulus. So if a material is having the more modulus of rigidity, then the material is said to be rigid and could able to take more amount of load without any deflection. So it is nothing but it is generally expressed with a term C or G or N. And the modulus of rigidity can be defined as the whenever a body is subjected to some kind of stresses, some kind of forces, then the amount of shear stress produced in the body by corresponding shear strain. The shear stress by shear strain is called as the modulus of rigidity. So here C is equal to tau by 5. Here tau is called as the shear stress produced in the material, and pi generally it is an angle. One of the surface makes some angle. That angle is measured in radians. We give the shear strain. So tau by pi is called the shear modulus, or it is also called as the modulus of rigidity. And the units is newtons per square meters or newtons per square millimeters. Next one is the Buck modulus. So here, whenever a body is subjected to the forces in 3 mutually perpendicular directions, here what is happening? So some force may produce positive strain and some force may produce negative strain. All 3 forces may not be pull type or tensile. All 3 forces may not be compressive. Some forces may be tensile and some forces may be compressive. So, and here also what is happening, if the tensile force is applied along the length, it will try to increase the length, whereas it will decrease the thickness and width. Similarly, if a compressive force applied along the width, it will also decrease the width, and it will try to increase the length and thickness, like that. So depending on the nature of the forces, the dimensions will change. It may increase or decrease. But however, the the change in dimension will occur, that is length, width and thickness will change, and accordingly the volume will change. So we got some initial value and where will be going to have the final value, and we will get the change in volume, and that also volumetric strain is nothing but the change in volume by original value. So we'll get some equation for that. We'll get some value. Here the buck modulus. Buck modulus is nothing but here when we are talking about the forces acting along the three mutually perpendicular directions, say x, y, and z axis. In that case, what is happening is in this case the direct stress means the force which is causing the direct stress. That means, for example, if it is having a rectangular cross section, then if the force is acting along the length will become the direct stress along the will produce the direct stress along the length direction. So and the cross section, so this forces, the cross section area is perpendicular to the applied force. In this case, so we have to take only the direct stress. So the force or the stress which is acting perpendicular to the cross section is taken as the direct force or the direct stress. So that force only we have to take, and the direct stress can be obtained by the equation direct stress is equal to force by cross section area. The force which is acting perpendicular to the cross section. For example, it is having lengthwise, then width and thickness will be the perpendicular to the length or the applied force. Therefore, the force by width and thickness will give the area. So that is the stress. So the amount of direct stress is taken only by the force which is acting perpendicular to the area of cross section. So like that we have to find out the direct stress. Now the buck modulus can be defined as the ratio of the direct stress to the volumetric strain. So whenever a body is subjected to the forces along the three mutually perpendicular axes, so it will produce some direct stress and also it produces some volumetric strain. So the ratio of the direct stress to the volumetric strain, that is sigma by EV, is called as the Buck modulus, and it is measured in newtons per square meter or newtons per square millimeter. It is denoted with the letter K. Now we are going to have some problem on this one to have an idea about the elastic constants and the Poisson's ratio. Now we'll write down the problem and we'll solve it. A bar of 25 millimeter diameter is subjected to a pull of 50 kilonewtons. The measured extension over a gauge length of 200 millimeters is 0.1 millimeters, and change in diameter is 0.0035 millimeters. Find the Poisson's ratio and elastic constants. So to solve this problem, first of all, we write down the solution with the given data. So here, this is a bar subjected to a force. Here the initial length is equal to 200 millimeters, and the what is the final length? So here the 0.1 mm is the increasing length. So this on both sides we have taken the 0.05 millimeters. So the totally 0.1 millimeter increasing length, but the diameter reduces by an amount of 0.0035. So the final diameter will be the 25 minus 0.0035 like this. So this is the problem. Now the given data can be written with the by studying the problem. The diameter D is equal to 25 millimeters. Load P is equal to 50 kilonewtons. That is 50,000 newtons. Length L is equal to 200 millimeters. Extension of length. The delta L is given as 0.1 millimeters. Change in diameter is given delta D. Here, so it reduces. The delta D is equal to 0.0035 millimeters. Now, the we have to find out the area of cross section. So that is equal to 5 into 25 whole square. It becomes 490.625 square millimeters. Now we know that the stress is nothing but the load by area. Here 50,000 by 490.625. It gives the stress value is equal to 101.86 newtons per square millimeter. Now we can find out the longitudinal strain. Longitudinal strain is nothing but the change in length by original length. So 0.1 by 200. It gives 5 into 10 power minus 4. So no units. And lateral strain. Here the lateral strain means it is here the given is a circular bar. So the change in diameter by original diameter. So 0.0035 by 25. It gives 1.4 10 power minus 4. Now we know that the Poisson's ratio, that is mu is equal to lateral strain by linear strain, or it is also called as the longitudinal strain. So we got the two values, we have to substitute, that is 1.4 by 5. It is equal to 0.28. So the value of the Poisson's ratio is equal to 0.28. Now we can find out the Young's modulus. The Young's modulus is nothing but the stress by strain. So the stress value is given 101.86 and the strain is given as 5 into 10 minus 4. So it gives 2.03 into 10 power 5 newtons per square millimeter. So like this we have to find out. Now coming to the summary part. So in this class we have derived the equations for the volumetric strains of a solid, that is a circular bar and the rectangular bars, and the volumetric strain is equal to EV is equal to E into 1 minus 2 mu, where mu is called the Poisson's ratio and E is the linear strain. Next, we discussed about the elastic contents. That is the Young's modulus of rigidity, and Buck modulus. So these things we have covered in this lesson. And even the volumetric strain is discussed for both for the rectangular bar and also cylindrical rod. Now we are going to have a small quiz. The volumetric strain EV of the rectangular bar is given by the equation. Option A, E into 1 minus 2 mu. Option B, E into 1 plus 2 mu. Option C, E by 1 plus 2 mu. Option D, E by 1 minus 2 mu. So we know that the volumetric strain is equal to E into 1 minus 2 mu. That is option E is the correct one. Next, volume of a cylindrical bar having a length L and diameter D is given away. V is equal to, the option A is 5 by 4 D square into L. Option B is D into L. Option C is 2D square into L. Option D is 5 by 2 into D square into L. We know that because it is a cylindrical bar, so having a round cross section, the volume is equal to area into length. So area means 5 by 4 into D square into L. So option E is the correct one. And these are the frequently asked questions. So derive the expression for volumetric strain of a rectangular bar which is subjected to an axial force. And next one, provide the expression for volumetric strain of a cylindrical rod. So this is our today's lesson. So thank you.